All right, thanks for joining us, everybody. For Ole Miss, we'll start with third baseman Justin Bench. Questions for Justin, please raise your hand. First question, Chris Muller.
Justin, congratulations on making it to the regional. How are y'all adjusting out in Arizona?
Say that one more time.
How are y'all adjusting to the heat out in Arizona?
Yeah, I mean it's a dry heat. It's hot, but we're prepared. We're hydrating properly. We're doing all the things necessary to just play baseball.
Next question, Parrish Alford.
Justin, what do you think of the park? Does it remind you of Hoover, a little bit larger than others? What do you think working out there today?
I mean, we had BP today, and I mean it's deep to left, center, and right, but the ball does fly out of there. But we have a great offense, and we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing.
I don't see any more hands up. Are there any more questions for Justin? Yeah, Parrish, go ahead.
Yeah, Justin, if you would, just talk about their pitching staff and what you've seen from those guys.
We haven't gone over the pitching staff too much. I know that they're throwing a righty or lefty the next 2 days, but we're ready to play, and we're excited to get out there.
You guys had an emotional game on Monday. Does that take anything out of you? Does it take a little while to recover from something like that? You guys had a little bit of a harder fought regional than Arizona seemed to have.
I mean, it was fun. I mean, that's what we come to do. We come to Ole Miss to play in a super regional and a regional, and I mean it was fun. I mean the atmosphere we had and we enjoyed it. But we're here and we're on to the next game, and we're taking one game at a time.
Final call. Any more questions for Justin? All right, thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have right-handed pitcher Derek Diamond. Questions for Derek, please raise your hand. First question, Brian Peterson.
Derek, considering the size of the park here, do you think that you and the other pitchers need to make any adjustments to maybe keep the ball down lower so that it doesn't get into the gaps or anything to that effect? Or do you not pay attention to the size of the park?
Well, as far as adjustments go for us as a staff, we're going to pay more attention to the lineup rather than the field. It's not going to be too much of a difference between some of the SEC parks we play in, although it's bigger. It is bigger, but the ball's going to fly because it's so dry and we're a little bit elevated out here. So we'd adjust to the lineup rather than the field.
Thank you.
Next question, Nick Suss.
Derek, how do you feel? I know you pitched a couple of times last weekend on short rest. Just how's your arm?
I'm feeling great, and I think a lot of the guys on our staff are feeling great. And as we go through the season and get to the end, we know that we got to be ready whenever we can. And we've done a great job, as a program, listening to our coaches and staff about what'll get us right, getting the kind of rest we need in order to throw more. And we're in great shape. We have a great training staff, so I think a lot of us feel really good. And personally, I do too.
To be clear, are you going tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Next question, Chase Parham.
Yeah, Derek, what's preparation been? I mean, since it is a little bit of a short week, you threw on Monday. When was the bullpen? Was it shorter than normal? Kind of just how did things differ than usual?
Right, on a typical week, it'll be real scheduled out. Mid-season, it'll be real scheduled out. You'll take a recovery day after you throw in the game, and then maybe a day off or a real light day, and then you'll pen after that, and then kind of take it easy up to the game. Whereas this week on shorter rest, I took it easy most of the week. Threw off a mound a couple times just, to work on some things. Threw on the mound today, just kind of see how it felt out here. And it felt great. I feel a little bit back home. It feels kind of like being in Southern California. Definitely a different heat than the South. So I wanted to get up on the mound and see how it felt out here, and it felt good.
Next question, back to Nick Suss.
From you and Jacob and some of the West Coast guys, what have you guys been telling your teammates about adjusting to the heat?
We've talked a lot about it. As soon as we found out we were coming, as soon as we knew we were coming here, after we played, our staff talked to us about how important it was that we start hydrating early. So it hasn't been really something that me and Jacob and Wes have had to preach. We've all been taking care of it since we knew we were going to come.
Do we have any more questions for Derek? All right, thank you, Derek.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, we're going to finish up with head coach Bianco. Questions for coach, please raise your hand. First question, Paris Alford.
Mike, Derek announced that he will start tomorrow night, but he was talking a little bit about his health. What's Doug's health like? How does he feel?
Health. That's a good word. They're all healthy, Parrish. They're all healthy. They're all 18 and 22-year-old guys, and they're pretty healthy. No, they've all felt good, and I know what you're talking about, and they all feel pretty good. But to another question, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Nick or somebody, but or maybe it might have been Chase. This time of year, obviously you're playing tournament baseball. Some of them are going off schedule. Some of them are on short rest. So I think each week you kind of take each guy, through his own deal. And, after last weekend, Derek pitching twice, Doug pitching twice. The biggest thing I think you can do for them is to make sure that they feel good, that they feel ready, that they feel strong. And so we the guys that didn't throw this past weekend all threw bullpens on Tuesday and Wednesday. The guys that did throw this past weekend, depending on how much they did, some of them threw some bullpens, some of them threw some short works today. Derek wanted to get off the mound a little bit just to be out here in the heat and spin the ball a little bit, so he threw a short, very short today. But I think it's more about feeling good, and I think really the premise of your question is, is anybody unavailable? Or no, they all feel great and they're ready to go. And but because of where we are, we wanted to make sure we got through today because obviously we played on Monday night. We only had Tuesday inside, Wednesday out inside, and then we traveled here. So before we announced Derek being the starter, which we figured would happen, we want to make sure that we looked at enough tape, looked at enough scouting reports, looked at the stats, tried to figure out the best matchup, and then the guy that, in your terms, healthy, right? The guy that feels that he can do it, and Derek checks all the boxes.
Did you see anything from Derek or Doug that would give you concern using them this weekend?
No, and nothing that they've said, through the week. I think in the back of my mind, just didn't want to throw Doug, tomorrow. We've asked so much of him, and he's always responded. Derek's not necessarily on short rest. Derek, threw on Friday, and now he's going to start a super regional on Friday. He threw on Monday, 2/3 of an inning, 22 pitches or 20, something like that. Which could be considered a little bit of a bullpen, and he's got 3 days, his normal bullpen day would be Tuesday. So it just depends on but this time of year, it's really, again, how they feel. It's not so much the rest or not rest. It's trying to get them to make sure that they feel good. There's times where they have normal rest, and we won't throw a bullpen, we'll throw a short work just to kind of give them a little boost. So again, I think they're all ready to go.
Next question, Nick Suss.
Mike, obviously y'all pitched pretty well 2 weeks ago in Hoover, another big ballpark in Tucson. I know it's not a one-to-one crossover, but is it similar at all, or are there different kind of preparations for different big parks?
No, I think Derek, said it, best, and we didn't even mention that, and that shows you what kind of kid and how sharp he is. I think the biggest thing is you pitch to the opponent, less than you pitch to the ballpark. I mean, there's times, Parrish asked me, last week about pitch selection and all that. There's times, when the wind's gushing out, that you may choose another pitch. But as far as in general how you're going to pitch, a really good Arizona offense, I think it's more of what we see on film in a scouting report necessarily than are we playing at Swayze Field, or are we playing here, in Tucson? But the field is dimension-wise is big. It'll be the biggest park that we've played on in all year. But I think there's, and again, you'd have to ask the people here, but I think there's a reason that it's that big is because, it carries a little bit better here. And so I think it probably evens out the distance. It's 360 something down the left field line. I've never seen that in a baseball field, but yet, our guys hit some balls out of left field today. So it's not like the ball doesn't, get out. So I think it'll play true, especially for this time of year, especially as warm. All the ballparks, start to get a little smaller in the heat. Usually there's, at our place, I'm not sure about the wind here, but at our place, when there's more of a southern breeze, the ballpark plays a lot, smaller. So, but played it, we took BP today, and again, I think it's going to play, true. I don't think it's going to play big. I don't think it's going to play super small. There is a lot of room out there, but the ball does carry a little bit better. So,
next question, Brian Peterson.
Going from the hot and humid conditions that you face throughout the SEC now to like the dry heat, is there anything you can do to adjust, or is it just a matter of staying hydrated?
Yeah, I'll tell you the first thing that people tell you, is before they even talk about Arizona's offense, which is amazing because it's really good. The first thing is you better start hydrating now, and so I think it's just different for our guys. It feels hotter at our place, in the midsummer when it's 95 degrees, and I think that's why. And again, this is baseball coach's opinion why they tell you to warn you just because you may not notice it immediately. Where, at our place, as soon as you walk out the door, you start sweating. And, here we've been out there an hour and a half and I barely sweat, but it's over 100 degrees. And so it's that dry heat that everybody talks about. But the thing that probably is a bigger concern for me, and you talked about the Southeast, is we haven't played any hot days yet. Hoover, the SEC tournament, was unseasonably cool. I mean, it was in the upper 70s, low 80s, where it's normally in the mid 90s. At our park, last weekend for regional, it was the coolest regional. We've hosted 10 times, I think. It's the coolest regional that we've ever had. Part of that is because we had a lot of rain, but another part of it's just the temperatures were in the low 80s, and so we really haven't had that hot spell yet, and so our guys haven't really got into the heat since last summer. So that's going to be different for us. Thankfully, we're playing at night. We've talked about it, but at the end of the day, it's it's not like it's a tournament where you lose and you're playing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 3 games. You prepare the best you can, and at the end of the day, you're going to have to play baseball. It doesn't matter how hot it is.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next question, Joe Cook.
Hey, Coach, I'm going to ask you something kind of off the beaten path, but still in the College World Series. Just how happy is the Bianco household? I know you're in the Supers and your son Drew. I don't know if you were asked this already in the session, but just what's that like and the potential that you guys could meet again, but in the College World Series setting? Just how proud are you of it as a dad and just the success that your team has had and LSU's had for this moment to actually happen?
Well, for me personally, obviously it was a real cool day on Monday. We win, kind of an epic battle there in a regional at home against one of our arch rivals in Southern Miss, and come home and eat dinner and pour myself a glass of wine and get to watch my son play, which I don't get to see very often. And he had a good night. And the Tigers had a good night, so that was nice to see. And so my wife, one of my sons, Ben, that plays at Louisville, and my daughter Catherine, they're in Knoxville this week, and so I'm flying solo here, but really proud. Won't get to see them play. They're playing a night game, on Saturday. They were Saturday, Sunday, Monday, so won't get to see them play Saturday. Sunday, there's a chance they play in the afternoon, and with the time difference, I might be able to catch some of that game. So obviously very proud dad, and it would be really cool for both of us to make it there. And it'd be quite a story.
Next question, Reggie Chapman.
Hey, Coach. Actually, my question was on just being Drew's dad. I mean, I'm actually out here in Knoxville covering Drew and the rest of the LSU Tigers. Just wanted to see for you, what is it kind of like being able to watch him from afar? And do you offer some sort of coaching from your end, or is you kind of focus on your team and just shoot him regular text and kind of go with the dad angle instead of the coach angle?
I don't know how he would answer that, so I'm cringing because you're probably going to ask him that question, and I know our answer's got to match up somehow. I'll tell you this, probably like a lot of dads that coach their kids at some point in Little League or whatever. I try really hard not to coach him. He's got really good coaches there. They don't need my advice, so I try not to do that. But at times where after the game, just love you, good job, or hang in there, or whatever the best response for a father. But over the course of the last 3 years, I might shoot him a text, from the dad that's a baseball coach, and what I mean by that is to not to overstep my bounds, I think, as a father, but I sometimes look at it as they were growing up, because I don't want them to feel that pressure from me, when they were playing high school baseball or whatnot, is to kind of like if you were a doctor and it's your son and there's some medical advice, you don't want to just hold it back. This is what your profession is, and you're supposed to have some knowledge that not every dad has. And so if there's something that I think I can help with, I will. But it's not like after a game we're breaking down his swing or anything like that. At the end of the day, that's why we chose for him, to go, and all his brothers to go somewhere else, to kind of find their path, to let somebody else coach them so they could experience what all the other college baseball players are experiencing, versus having your dad coach you.
Just to follow up real quickly, just being able to watch his journey from this year. Obviously, I was in the transfer portal at one point, decided to come back, and has become a guy that this team really relies on. What's it like for you to be able to watch from, the sideline?
Well, it's really neat. It's really neat, and probably everything that you can imagine. I think that's why we have intercollegiate athletics. We have big stadiums and give trophies and win national championships, but at the end of the day, why did they start playing intercollegiate athletics 150 years ago? Is I think that, it mirrors life, and it teaches kids life lessons, and how to handle adversity, how to be part of teams, how to, take, instruction from a leader, all of these things that are going to help you later in life. It's why I think businesses look to hire athletes a lot of times, is because of all the things that they go through to be able to do something in front of tens of thousands, sometimes a million people on television. Most kids that are graduating from college never get that experience or that type of pressure. And so at the end of the day, when you watch your kid go through it, and that it hasn't always been easy for him there, and and so to watch him kind of bust through and get through the other side, as a coach, it's really neat to watch any kid do that. But to as a father, to watch your son, come out on the other end and have some success, it's really neat.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question, Courtney Robb.
Hey, Coach, we've seen your team do a pretty good job playing up to the level of competition throughout the season and in the SEC tournament and last weekend. How much confidence does that give you heading into this weekend against Arizona?
Well, it gives us a lot of confidence, obviously, playing in the Southeastern Conference, and that all the teams that you play week in and week out in the different environments and the different stadiums, and I think prepares you as much as any league for postseason. But what it also teaches you is that this is baseball, and anybody can beat anybody on a given day. And I know that sounds like coaches speak, but especially when you get to this point where there's 16 teams, they're all really good. They all deserve to be here. They're all obviously playing well, or they wouldn't be here. So what it teaches you is you have to play well or you lose. And I think that's probably the biggest lesson that you learn in the Southeastern Conference is it doesn't matter who you play in our league. There is no top or bottom. It's everybody beats everybody. It's just it's one of those constant wars made up of 30 battles throughout the season. And so you hope that it prepares you for this moment, that that against a very, very good Arizona team, you're going to have to play well to win. But it also gives you confidence that you've played some of the best teams in the country already, and you're good enough to be here. And if you play well, good things will happen.
Next question, Chase Parham.
What was the wine, Mike? A little better bottle on Monday after the way the day went?
Yeah, it was a bottle somebody gave me for Christmas. It was kind of a high end bottle, but it was just okay. But it was I don't even remember the name. You put pressure on me, so I'm sorry. Sorry, Chase.
Well,
Tough one.
yeah, that's all good. The more relevant question: how do you kind of assess Justin Bench's season? I mean, he's been y'all's Swiss Army knife and just keeps getting on base. We don't talk about him a ton, but he just keeps showing up.
Yeah, and I get it because we've had a lot of players have great years, and but Justin and Kevin, Graham, there's some guys that kind of you and the guys that follow us all the time know how good they are, but there's great stories and Jacob Gonzalez and Doug Nikhazy and Tim Elko that you can only do so many stories, I guess, and sometimes those guys get forgotten, but whatever you want to call it, glue guy, Mr. Consistency, we're not the same team without Justin Bench. I mean, guy that started in center field at the beginning of the year, the first basemans go down, we have to move Elko to first base, and so we moved Bench in and immediately, and we knew that he would be able to handle the defense, handle third base, and it wasn't like he's played a ton of third base. He played mostly short and second, throughout the fall, and so we throw him in at third. He does terrific, but he's a guy that bats anywhere in the lineup, right? He bats leadoff and second and then fifth. He's not your traditional looking fifth hitter, but he's hit in the low 300s. He'll drive the ball out of the ballpark. He's our leading stolen base guy. He can bunt. He can do so many things, for us. And again, I think the best compliment that you can give a guy is here we are with 16 teams remaining. If we don't have Justin Bench, we're not here today.
Next question, Chris Muller.
Mike, you talked a little bit about the Arizona offense. What specifically has kept you up the last couple of nights about
that they don't have anybody hitting under 350. Their stat page is a little gaudy. When I look at them in general, just as a team, they probably mirror us more than anybody we've played all year. Where they score runs, they hit for average, they hit home runs, but it's not like they're going to lead the country in home runs, just like we aren't. They're going to run some balls out of the yard. They got some guys with power, a couple of guys with double-digit home runs, but throughout the lineup, it seems like just about everybody in their lineup can run it out of the ballpark. They don't steal as many bases. They bunt more than us, but so does the rest of the country. But they score runs because they can hit. They can really hit, and Jay's done a terrific job because 1 through 9 and even beyond that, they just score runs. They hit balls into the gap, and they're right-handed and left-handed. It's not like you just go, hey, we need to go left-handed against them. I mean, when you look at their splits, they're just as good against right-handed pitching as they are against left-handed pitching. And so, we're going to have our hands full, as a pitching staff.
Do we have any more questions for Coach? All right, thank you, everybody. That's all we have for today.
Thanks, guys.
Same link we use for all post-game Zooms this weekend. Thank you.